Before you pack for your next flight, you need to hear this. TSA has just rolled out new restrictions on electronics that are catching travelers completely off guard at security checkpoints across the country. People are having items confiscated, missing flights, and facing serious delays because they don't know about these changes. If you're traveling with any electronics in 2026, what I'm about to share could save you hundreds of dollars in confiscated items and hours of frustration at the airport. Welcome to my channel. If you've got any travel plans coming up this year, you're going to want to pay very close attention to what I'm about to share, because the TSA has implemented some significant changes to what electronics you can and cannot bring through airport security, and these rules are strictly being enforced right now. We're not talking about vague guidelines or suggestions. We're talking about hard rules that are resulting in confiscated items, secondary screenings, and in some cases, travelers being denied boarding entirely. Whether you're a frequent flyer or someone who only travels occasionally, these new regulations affect everyone, and ignorance of these rules is not going to save your expensive electronics from being taken away. Let me start with the most important change that's catching the most travelers by surprise, and that's the new restrictions on lithium batteries. Now, lithium batteries have always been subject to certain regulations, but the TSA has significantly tightened these rules in 2026, and they're enforcing them much more aggressively than in previous years. Here's what you need to understand. Lithium-ion batteries and devices containing them are now subject to much stricter watt-hour limitations, and the way these limitations are applied has changed in ways that affect common consumer electronics that you might not even realize contain lithium batteries. The fundamental rule is this: spare lithium batteries, meaning batteries that are not installed in a device, must be carried in your carry-on luggage only. They are absolutely prohibited in checked baggage. This isn't new, but what is new is how strictly TSA is enforcing this and how they're identifying these batteries. TSA agents are now using enhanced scanning technology that can detect lithium batteries deep inside checked luggage, and if they find them, your bag will be pulled, you'll be paged, and you'll have to return to the baggage area to remove the batteries. If you can't be located or don't respond in time, your entire bag could be removed from the flight, which means you're arriving at your destination without your belongings. But here's where it gets tricky. Many devices contain lithium batteries that you might not immediately think of as having batteries. Portable chargers and power banks are the obvious ones, and these must be in your carry-on with capacity limits strictly enforced. Power banks exceeding 100 watt-hours are now prohibited entirely from both carry-on and checked luggage unless you have airline approval in advance. To put that in perspective, a 100 watt-hour power bank is roughly equivalent to a 27,000 milliamp hour capacity charger. Most consumer power banks fall under this limit, but the large capacity ones that frequent travelers love are now problematic. Electronic cigarettes and vaping devices have become a major focus of TSA enforcement. These devices, which contain lithium batteries, are now absolutely prohibited in checked baggage with no exceptions. They must be in your carry-on. And even then, there are restrictions. You cannot charge these devices on the aircraft. You cannot use them, obviously, and they must be protected from accidental activation. TSA agents are specifically looking for these items in checked bags, and if they find them, they will confiscate them with no opportunity for you to retrieve them and move them to your carry-on. Smart luggage has become incredibly popular in recent years, and this is another area where travelers are running into serious problems. Smart luggage, which includes built-in batteries for charging devices or GPS tracking or electronic locks, is now subject to very specific rules. If the battery is removable, you must remove it and carry it separately in your carry-on if you're checking the bag. If the battery is not removable and the luggage is being checked, it's not allowed, period. The bag will be rejected at check-in. Many travelers have shown up at airports with expensive smart luggage only to discover they can't check it, and they have no way to remove the battery, forcing them to either carry it on if space is available or abandon it entirely. Laptops and tablets have new screening requirements that are causing significant delays at security checkpoints. While these devices are still permitted in carry-on luggage, TSA now requires that all laptops larger than standard tablet size must be removed from your bag and placed in a separate bin for screening. Additionally, if you're traveling with multiple laptops or tablets, you may be subject to enhanced screening. TSA has specific concerns about devices that might be modified to contain prohibited items, and if your laptop appears damaged, has been opened, or has any external modifications, expect additional scrutiny that could include your device being powered on to prove it's functional. Here's something that's catching a lot of professionals and photographers off guard. Certain camera equipment and professional electronics are now requiring additional documentation or advance notification. High-powered camera batteries, professional lighting equipment with large battery packs, and certain types of drones are all subject to enhanced scrutiny. If you're traveling with professional equipment, you need to have documentation proving ownership, and in some cases, you may need to notify the airline in advance. Failure to do so can result in your equipment being held for additional inspection, causing you to miss your flight. Wireless headphones and earbuds, which seem completely innocuous, are also part of the enhanced screening process. While they're permitted, if you're carrying multiple sets or if your headphones have large battery cases, TSA agents may ask you to power them on to demonstrate they're functional. This is particularly common with over-ear noise-canceling headphones that have substantial battery compartments. Make sure your devices are charged before you go through security, because if you can't turn them on when asked, they may be confiscated pending additional inspection. Medical devices that are electronic are in a special category, and this is where things can get emotionally difficult for travelers who depend on these devices for their health. Insulin pumps, CPAP machines, portable oxygen concentrators, and other medical electronics are generally permitted, but they require additional screening and often require documentation from your physician. The new 2026 rules have added requirements for certain medical devices to be screened separately, and you should arrive at the airport with extra time if you're traveling with medical electronics. TSA has medical screening protocols, but not all agents are equally familiar with them, and you may need to advocate for yourself to ensure your devices are handled properly. Gaming devices and handheld gaming consoles are another category that's seeing increased attention. Devices like the Nintendo Switch, Steam Deck, or other handheld gaming devices are permitted, but they must be removed from your bag during screening similar to laptops. Additionally, if you're traveling with external battery packs or charging cases for these devices, those accessories are subject to the lithium battery restrictions I mentioned earlier. Older electronics or vintage devices are particularly problematic under the new rules. If you're traveling with older laptops, cameras, or other electronics that don't have clear battery labeling, or that use older battery technologies, you may face significant delays. TSA agents need to be able to determine what type of battery your device uses and whether it meets current safety standards. If they can't determine this easily, your item may be set aside for additional inspection or potentially confiscated. Hairstyling tools that are electronic, such as cordless hair straighteners, curling irons, or hair dryers with lithium batteries, are now subject to the same rules as other lithium battery devices. The cordless versions with built-in rechargeable batteries must be in your carry-on luggage. Traditional plug-in versions without batteries are still fine in checked luggage, but the newer cordless models that have become popular are caught up in these restrictions. Children's electronic toys are another area where parents are being caught off guard. Electronic toys with lithium batteries, electronic games, tablets designed for children, and even some electronic books and learning devices are all subject to the standard lithium battery rules. If you're traveling with kids and packing electronic entertainment for them, you need to be mindful of where these items are packed and whether they contain batteries that exceed the watt-hour limitations. Let me talk about something that's particularly frustrating for travelers: counterfeit or uncertified electronics and batteries. TSA has become much more aggressive about identifying and confiscating counterfeit batteries and chargers. If you've purchased inexpensive batteries or chargers from unknown manufacturers, particularly through online marketplaces, there's a significant chance they may not meet safety standards, and TSA can and will confiscate them. This isn't about brand loyalty, this is about safety. Counterfeit lithium batteries have been responsible for fires on aircraft, and TSA is not taking any chances. If your battery or charger doesn't have proper safety certifications and clear labeling, it's at risk of confiscation. International travelers face an additional layer of complexity because different countries have different rules about electronics. What's permitted by TSA in the United States might not be permitted by security in other countries, and vice versa. If you're doing international travel, you need to research the electronics rules not just for the United States, but for every country you're passing through, including connection points. Some countries have even stricter battery limitations, some prohibit certain types of devices entirely, and some require advanced declarations for professional equipment. The penalties for violating these electronics rules have also gotten more serious. In the past, if TSA found a prohibited item, they might simply confiscate it and send you on your way. Now, violations can result in fines. You could be flagged for enhanced screening on future flights, and in serious cases, you could face criminal charges if TSA believes you were deliberately trying to circumvent security rules. The days of playing ignorant and hoping for leniency are over. TSA is treating electronics violations as serious security matters. So what should you actually be doing to avoid problems? First, and most importantly, before you pack anything electronic, check the TSA website for the most current rules. TSA has a helpful tool called What Can I Bring, where you can search for specific items and see whether they're permitted in carry-on, checked baggage, or both. Don't rely on what was allowed last time you flew or what you remember hearing somewhere. Rules change, and you need current information. Second, for any device with a lithium battery, check the watt-hour rating. This information is usually printed on the battery itself or in the device documentation. If it's not clearly labeled, contact the manufacturer before you travel. For power banks and portable chargers, the watt-hour rating can usually be calculated from the milliamp-hour rating and voltage. There are online calculators that can help you with this. If a device exceeds the limits, don't bring it or get advance approval from your airline. Third, always pack lithium batteries and devices containing them in your carry-on luggage. Even if you think an item might be allowed in checked baggage, the safest bet is to carry it on. This way, if there's any question at security, you're right there to address it, rather than having your checked bag pulled and potentially missing your flight. Fourth, arrive at the airport with extra time. If you're traveling with multiple electronics, professional equipment, or anything that might require additional screening, give yourself an extra 30 to 45 minutes beyond what you'd normally allow. The last thing you want is to be rushing through security and have your electronics flagged for additional inspection with your boarding time approaching. Fifth, keep all your electronics easily accessible in your carry-on. You should be able to quickly remove laptops, tablets, and other required items when you get to the security checkpoint. Having everything buried at the bottom of your bag slows down the process and increases the likelihood of additional screening. Sixth, make sure all your devices are charged. TSA may ask you to power on devices to prove they're functional, and if you can't, you'll face delays or confiscation. This is especially important for laptops, tablets, phones, and cameras. Seventh, keep receipts and documentation for expensive electronics. If you're traveling with multiple devices or high-value equipment, having proof of ownership can help if there are questions. It also helps with customs declarations if you're traveling internationally. Eighth, consider your packing strategy carefully. Instead of bringing every gadget you own, think critically about what you actually need for your trip. Every extra electronic device is another potential point of delay or complication at security. Sometimes, less is more. Ninth, if you're unsure about a specific item, contact your airline before you travel. Airlines can provide guidance on what's permitted and can sometimes provide advance approval for items that are in a gray area. This is particularly important for professional equipment or unusual devices. 10th, consider travel insurance that covers electronics. If you're traveling with expensive equipment and there's any chance of confiscation or damage during security screening, insurance can provide financial protection. Read the policy carefully to understand what's covered. Let me share some real scenarios that travelers have encountered recently. One business traveler had 3 laptops confiscated at security because he couldn't adequately explain why he needed 3 devices, and TSA suspected they might be for commercial purposes requiring different documentation. A photographer had professional camera batteries seized because the watt-hour ratings weren't clearly visible and she couldn't provide documentation on the spot. A family traveling with kids had electronic toys confiscated from checked luggage because they contained lithium batteries the parents didn't even know were there. These are real situations happening to real travelers right now. The underlying reason for all these tightened restrictions is safety. Lithium batteries, while generally safe when manufactured properly and handled correctly, can pose fire risks under certain conditions. There have been incidents of battery fires in cargo holds and even in passenger cabins. The aviation industry takes these risks extremely seriously, and the regulations, while sometimes frustrating for travelers, are designed to prevent potentially catastrophic situations. Looking ahead, these rules are likely to become even more stringent rather than more relaxed. As battery technology evolves and as more and more devices incorporate batteries, the regulatory framework will continue to adapt. Staying informed and staying compliant isn't just about avoiding hassles at the airport. It's about contributing to the overall safety of air travel for everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this information helps you avoid problems on your next trip. Air travel is stressful enough without having your electronics confiscated or facing unexpected delays at security. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I regularly cover travel tips, security updates, and other information to make your travels smoother. Drop a comment below and let me know if you've had any experiences with TSA and electronics, or if you have questions about specific devices. Your experiences help other travelers learn what to expect. Remember, a little preparation and knowledge goes a long way towards stress-free travel. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next video.